Thank you for that warm introduction. I hope I deserve it. But I do like the notion of being a coach. I always wanted to be a coach. And I think now more than ever, I accomplished my goal. So good afternoon, everyone. And as someone who's been deeply connected to Central Washington for decades, I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about how the region can continue to grow and harness the transformative power of AI and generative AI that we've all been hearing so much about recently. But as my introduction suggested, we're infrastructure players. And so we take a view at maybe 40,000 feet, a little higher view and more of a B2B look than a B2C look. And so we're interested in 3 years out and 5 years out in our programming. And so it's fun to look back in history and look how quickly we're moving, and then to anticipate how quickly we're going to have to move because of these new tools. So what's interesting, and a little bit of our history of the area, just a few feet out of these doors, a river flows. But it's not just any river, but it's one that shaped this region since the beginning of time. The mighty Columbia first fed its people with fish, and eventually trade thrived on its banks. The Grand Coulee Dam was started in 1933 to help restart the economy after the Depression and was completed in 1941. All the other dams followed to harness the energy of the Columbia for commercial purposes. But the first benefit of Grand Coulee Dam was the irrigation of the desert that brought the agricultural industry to Central Washington. And as a result, Wenatchee is known internationally as the apple capital of the world. Then in 1952, Alcoa Aluminum built the Malaga plant and brought in high-paying industrial jobs. But in 2015, the plant was closed because China and Russia's subsidized aluminum industry offshored those high-paying jobs. But the information age has created another, even better opportunity for our community. The fact is that it costs a lot of money to push electrons all the way to the cities that use so much of our electricity. And it costs a lot of money because of resistance or ohms. But it costs almost nothing to push photons across fiber optic cables at near the speed of light. So let's put that into perspective. It takes about 130 milliseconds for photons to travel from Wenatchee to New York, about 220 milliseconds for photons to travel to Tokyo and back, and about 270 milliseconds to travel to London. So our data centers, these digital factories that form the platforms for AI and generative AI, want to be close to this river to save electrical costs and at the same time be connected to the world at speeds that are not discernible to humans. Think about it. Complex transactions anywhere in the US are being processed right here in Central Washington because our electricity is cheap because of that river. And if there weren't protectionist laws, the same would be true for anywhere in the world, and all because of the Columbia River. Central Washington could be as important to the information age as New York City is to the banking industry. Now these same powerful data centers that are repurposing that same power to power the GPUs to bring the next big paradigm shift to this community, which is AI, and even more important, what's coming is generative AI. The Columbia River has powered trade, agriculture, and cities. But even 10 years ago, Who would have thought it would power the biggest paradigm shift in the history of humanity? We bought our property north of Pangbourne in 2006. And I remember taking a Silicon Valley prospect there and giving the pitch as we looked up at the sagebrush and the hills. This is going to be a great hub of technology. He looked and he says, how am I going to get my folks from San Francisco and Silicon Valley to move to this sagebrush? The good news is that many of our Sabey teammates, as was mentioned earlier, are natives of the area. And the tech people who move here, once they get here, they don't want to leave. This is such a great place to live and work. And now that our kids don't have to leave and go to the big cities to find high-value tech jobs. But how do we optimize the regional opportunity that these data centers provide? Well, why not use AI ourselves? And that's what we've been talking about, to multiply its force economically across the globe and in the nation for the social good of all of us right here in this community. But it won't be easy, but nothing good is, or worth doing, is ever easy. A paradigm shift is more than just a change, it's a transformation that completely alters our understanding of the world. Paradigm shifts drive progress and unlock new possibilities. But they also cause conflicts because they massively destruct and disrupt obsolete activities. They challenge established systems and mindsets and have profound economic consequences that industries must adapt or perish. Think about the compass, think about the telescope, think about Gutenberg's press or the internal combustion engine. My good friend, Dr. Lee Hood, inventor of the first automated DNA and protein sequencers, rightly observed that every paradigm shift has been triggered by the invention of a new technology. To sequence the first genome, it cost nearly $3 billion. But today, as a result of his automated sequencers and continuing increasing compute power, you can get your genome sequenced for around $300. Wow, what a change in such a short period of time. The concepts and techniques of artificial intelligence were developed decades ago. And NVIDIA's recent innovation, like Hood's automated gene sequencers of combining CUDA software to GPUs, has given rise to this latest paradigm shift. Remember Kodak film, Xerox, rotary telephones, all obsoleted by new paradigm shifts. As Jensen Huang of NVIDIA says, when a paradigm shift arrives, you can either eat the food or be the food. Those who win at paradigm shifts are willing to anticipate changes and adapt. Those who lose are complacent, overconfident, and even defensive of the status quo. In the face of AI and generative AI, we will choose to innovate. Will we choose to innovate, or will we eat, or will we put our heads in the sand and be eaten? That choice sounds easy, but for most of us, it's more complex than you might think. You see, our mental operational software has evolved to resist change. Because for almost all of human history, any change usually meant a physical danger, and our instincts evolved to keep us safe. If you had met Mr. T-Rex for the first time as an example, as you optimistically embraced him as you came out of your cave, the outcome might not have been very good. So we are epigenetic programmed to resist change because change and the unknown are dangerous. And for 99% of the human existence, that was the way it was. We only experienced the relative safety of our modern society for only a fraction of the 1% of our entire existence as a species. Today, that means focusing creatively, so our limbic system aka our lizard brain, kicks in when we're confronted with threats or new ideas. After a millennia on the Serengeti, our immediate unthinking reaction to change is fight, flight, or freeze. But change is no longer a physical threat, as it was for eons. But our brains can't distinguish between change that is a physical threat and change that is just a mental challenge. That means our lizard brains are still kicking in to resist change, even though embracing change is an essential advantage of today's world. So today, look at Carswell's of MIT's new technology chart. It's almost vertical now. AI and generative AI is going to ask us to change at rates that human beings have never changed before. But we're saddled with this negative look at change. But change is coming. The answer to overcoming this change is the power of directive thinking. Lou Tice, a behavioral psychologist, the founder of the internationally renowned Pacific Institute, also happened to be my high school football coach. Lou fundamentally transformed my life by setting my sights on positive and lofty goals that I hadn't considered possible, and then showed me how to get there. I like to say he reprogrammed my software and trained me to focus on the positive and away from the negative. But what he really taught me was the power of directed learning. Today, that means focusing creatively on the positive possibilities of AI and generative AI. Billions of dollars of value have already been created by doing this, but trillions remain to be invented. To capitalize on this opportunity, this river has given us, we need to challenge the rhetoric and emphasize the positives of this paradigm change. How massive will AI and generative AI paradigm shift be? Some thought leaders have compared the AI revolution to the emergence of the internet and even the discovery of fire in terms of the significance to the human experience. German-born Leopold Aschenbrenner graduated from Columbia University in 2021 at the age of 19. But more, he wasn't just a young graduate, he was also the valedictorian of his class and an AI and generative AI researcher. A few years of working with Sam Altman on OpenAI's super alignment team, Leopold since has become an AI investor. In June, published an important essay called Situational Awareness. This is a must-read to gain a better insight into just how important AI and generative AI will be in your future, in our nation's future, and in our kids' future especially. It's free, so just ask Bing to search for Situational Awareness by Leopold Aschenbrenner, and I guarantee it'll be the best read that you've done for yourself yet. Central Washington has a rich history. A river's a gift. Once powering commerce and agriculture, and now fueling the advancement in AI and generative AI that are revolutionizing our industries around the world. Data centers are certainly a new engine of prosperity for the region. Jobs have been created in construction, and the green tech sector, not to mention the service sectors. In some areas, right here in this community, because of all of this, household incomes have doubled and property values have tripled. And the increased tax base is benefiting our communities every day. But we haven't seen anything yet. Now is the time to fully embrace and capitalize on AI and the generative AI revolution that will shortly follow. Instead of fearing the unknown, let's be excited by it. Let's focus our creative power on inventing new uses for AI in education, healthcare, marketing, customer operations, and software development. My favorite use case is working with Dr. Hood on our OptiSpan project. I'm 77 years old, but who cares about how many times you've went around the sun? The real question is, what is your biological age? And with these new tools, we're able to reverse biological ages and roll them back. because now we have the data to do that. So just ask Bing again to find OptiSpan and to learn more about how you can roll back your biological life. But in the future, let's continue to work together to find new creative ways to harness the power of AI and generative AI to create new cases that will ensure the prosperity of our region for decades to come and for our children that will follow us. In closing, please let me show you the following video that is completely AI created, both visual and verbal content, just a still picture, and asked it to deliver. And this is just the beginning.
Here in Central Washington, we can't just use AI to keep pace. We need to lead the way. Picture this: AI-powered innovation, driving our farms and orchards to produce record harvests, revitalizing our local businesses, and empowering our community to solve its most pressing challenges. The videos in the presentation, this closing message, and even the voice you are hearing were all generated by AI to showcase the power and potential already at our fingertips. The future is here, and it's ours to shape. Our river has powered us through trade, agriculture, and industry. Now it powers the biggest paradigm shift in human history. We're already the apple capital of the world. Now let's work together to make Central Washington the AI capital of the world.
Thank you so much for your time.